So, welcome everybody to another episode of Beyond the Rider podcast. This is going to be something we're going old school today. I'm really excited to have UCMPIGS with us today. We are going back to the original pre-recorded format of the podcast. It used to be pre-recorded back in the day during the time of the lockdown, as we shall say. If you say the C word, I think they ban you on YouTube. And we went down to the pre-recorded version. I thought that was a little bit more intimate. Get a chance to really tell people's stories versus the live streams that kind of take a life of their own. So we're going to go back to that. Just a reminder, if you haven't seen it, Beggars and Brews is doing the Tunnel to Towers ride in July. I will be there at the Custom Dynamics tent, which will be one of the poker stops for the event. Please consider joining the event. It's going to be a poker ride and a meet and greet, and it's really going to be a good time. We're going to be hanging out. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of vendors, a lot of YouTubers there. So if you can make it, I hope I'll see you there. And with that, bring it into the show. Mr. UCMPIGS, how are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Yourself, Bri the biker, man. Finally getting to meet the man, the myth, the legend.
You know, I missed you in OC by I think like
I know it.
Seconds.
I think I saw you come in the parking lot because I just left talking with Bert and George, and I was leaving the parking lot, and I could have swore I saw the black and red bike come in, and it was 2 up. So I tried. You were moving. I couldn't catch up with you. So I'm beginning to think you were an AI. I didn't know.
A lot of people think that.
Yeah. So
you should have my stunt rider takes all my good stuff. That was the first rally I've ever been to.
That's a good rally. OC is definitely a nice small town rally. I like it because it's close by, and that makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean that was the nice part is we got a chance to ride down. It wasn't a long ride, and at that point, I hadn't had much time behind the wheel. The wheel. I know what I'm talking about. I haven't had much time on the bike at that point, so it was nice to get the glide out in there. Just let it rip. It's a fun time.
It's a good day. You took the ferry down, right?
No, we rode down the whole way.
Oh, you rode down. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know a lot of people took the ferry. We bought the bike in the spring, and I had some medical issues, so I really wasn't riding that much. So it was a good excuse to take it out and just ride.
Yeah,
I've heard the ferry's pretty cool though.
Any ferry ride's cool, man. I mean, those are just like I needed to create some content. Let's go ride a ferry, and it's a good time, So yeah, we've got a couple down here. Just to make little short rides and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. That one's a little longer. I think that's maybe like an hour or something like that. Or
yeah. So I'm hoping to go down to Custom Dynamics in the spring, and if I do, I want to take the ferry, and then I want to go through the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. I think that'd be fun.
If you do that, let me know because that's just right over there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
because I really want to hear my Chrome Werks shameless plug in the tunnel. I want to let them rip.
I will meet you at Cape Charles, and we'll come back across the
nice tunnel. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's it. Then that's the great thing about this community is like it's weird to have people like all over the world, literally all over the world, and they're like, oh, this is really cool, just from a silly YouTube channel.
Well, all over the world, New Jersey. That's
I mean, we like to think New Jersey is the world. We have Snooki, we have Bon Jovi. I think Frank Sinatra was born here.
A lot of motorcycle content. I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, there are a lot of dudes in New Jersey on the YouTube. So that's cool. New Jersey's a neat state. So yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I moved as the crow flies, maybe 6 miles into New Jersey from Pennsylvania. It's a whole different world.
Oh yeah.
I don't need to have my motorcycle inspected, and I have to wear a helmet. No, wait, what was the mix? I don't have to have my motorcycle inspected. PA, you have to have your motorcycle inspected, but you don't have to wear a helmet.
New Jersey is not a helmet state.
New Jersey is.
Pennsylvania's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can walk in and into your local firearms dealership, 20 minutes, walk out with a gun. New Jersey, it takes like an act of Congress and chicken blood and all kinds of stuff. It's weird.
Huh. My best friend grew up in Philly, and he's actually my boss, which is kind of funny. But his saying that cracks me up all the time because he's like, Pennsylvania, you have Philadelphia and you have Pittsburgh, and everything else is Alabama.
Yep, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, he's about right." I mean, I've been through there, and he's exactly right. It cracks me up. You got to go to a beer store. You can't just roll up in the Wawa and get a 40.
It's a really weird experience. We did Route 6, PA Route 6, which is like the top of Pennsylvania from New Jersey all the way into Ohio. Done it a couple times. And it's really weird because, like you said, you go from, not Philadelphia, but that area, and then you just get in the middle of no man's land. It's
Yeah,
so strange. You
it's
don't
beautiful though. I've
oh, it's
seen.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. I'm hoping this year to do a little riding in that part of the country. That's I think. Yeah, I'm looking at Pennsylvania and New York. Go do the Hawk's Nest. I've never really ridden it. I went to Laconia last year, which was my first time going that far north on a motorcycle, and I wish I had more time, and I wish it wasn't raining as much, but it was still beautiful. Yeah,
The Hawk's Nest is weird. It looks really good in pictures, and it is fun, but it's so quick. It's
well,
only, I
yeah,
think, 8 turns, but it's worth the ride. Actually, the ride that's even better is when you continue north, whatever way you're continuing in New York State. That ride is amazing. The roads are smooth.
yeah.
It's awesome.
It's probably like any place else. You just got to go find the roads.
Mhm.
They're out there. You just got to go find them.
Yeah,
You got to go.
I like New York State a lot. We spent a lot of time 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 3 years ago now, and that was our first big trip. We did 13 days on the bike, and we spent a lot of time in New York State. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get up there. We'll see what the year brings. We're going to Jersey in July.
Oof, sorry.
Yeah,
It's
we'll be in Jersey in July.
don't go to Atlantic City. They'll never find you again.
No, I'm coming to see you guys, man.
I know you are. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward
so
to it. It's
I
gonna
like
be a
Atlantic
really
City. My wife and I had a blast there a few years ago.
really?
Oh man, we have a good time. We went up on a Friday, and it was weird because the hotel. I think I stayed at the MGM,
Okay.
and I got the room for $99, which was phenomenal. And because the
Yeah.
next night it was like 200 or 300 bucks, same
Mhm.
room. And we went up and we ate dinner in the hotel, which was pricey. And then we said, let's go. We don't know, neither one of us gamble. We don't know anything about gambling. So we ended up doing slots. And I actually paid for my trip, which was pretty cool. Um,
Nice.
I was pretty impressed.
That's a good time.
Yeah, so, that was a win-win for me. But, yeah, I wasn't too we got casinos down here now, so we just got our first casino this past year, so, I haven't been, but, yeah, I'm not a gambler.
I grew up in Bensalem, which is a suburb of Philadelphia, and they put Parks Casino in there. And it's
Mhm.
so weird because I've been there once and I'm like, this used to be like this podunk little horse track, and now it's this giant destination for gambling. And I'm not a gambler either, but I was like, okay, well, this is different. It's like a whole nother world when you walk in.
Yeah, I wanna go. My wife's been over there with my boys, and, I wanna go because I just saw Kool and the Gang's coming, so, yeah, I'm gonna go see Kool and the Gang.
Wow, don't get well, if it gets too rowdy, you get locked up. But you know me, I'm right down the road, so I'll come
Yeah,
get you. Make a good story. I heard you got
yeah,
locked up at the Cool in the Gang concert.
Kool and the Gang, yeah.
I saw Billy Idol. I don't know what the tour was called, but it was just him and Steve Stevens, whoever his guitarist is, playing acoustic. It was fantastic. They have a nice
Yeah,
little venue in there. Really nice
yeah,
venue.
yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah,
Good
it's
deal, man.
kind of cool. So I guess we'll start with where you currently reside. Well, actually, where were you born? Where'd you grow
Oh
up?
man, I was born in Hollywood, Florida.
Really?
Yep. Um, yeah, my dad's family is South Florida natives. So my first 7 years of my life was living in Hollywood, which is right outside Miami, if you're familiar with
Okay.
that area. I was raised in Mississippi though. We moved to North Mississippi and pretty much grew up there until I joined the Navy right out of high school. So
Okay.
uh, but yeah, that's Southern guy, I guess. I don't know. I've been out of the South so long. People say they can hear it in my voice. I don't hear it as much because I've been here I live in if you're familiar with Norfolk, Virginia, that's
Mhm.
the big naval base. I live in Chesapeake, which is we are there's 7 cities down here, and they all bump into each other. So Chesapeake is one of the more rural cities. We are wedged between Virginia Beach and North Carolina. So I'm about 8 miles from North Carolina and about 3 miles from Virginia Beach the other way.
Okay.
So I've been here since, gosh, came here in 90 when I joined, and then we moved overseas for 3 years, and then did a recruiting tour out in Oklahoma, and then came back here since in 2001, and I've been here since. So this is home. This is Hampton Roads. You may hear people call it Hampton Roads. It's, you know, the 7 cities, but not a bad place to live.
Nice. So you joined the Navy right out of high school?
Right out of high school, man. I had 3 days.
Really?
3 days. Yep. I spent 3 glorious days in Destin, Florida, and then got on a plane and went to Great Lakes, 18 years old. So
what was that experience like? Because we had graduated school about the same time, and I was a Marine ROTC, and that's one of the things that we've talked about. I always wanted to, sort of life regret. I would have, even if I did 4 years, I would have liked to have served, but it seems almost unimaginable at that age. Like, I kept thinking, like, I'm only 18 years old. Like, I've never left this. Well, I did leave the state, but realistically, like, I wasn't that worldly. That had to be quite the experience.
it was. I mean, I always knew I wasn't going to go to college. I struggled through high school, and lack of better words, I didn't know what to do. And my best friend was like, "Hey, let's go join the Navy," and I'm like, "Okay." So
Friends.
yeah,
Why not?
yeah. So and he got out. He did 4 years and got out. But yeah, I went off, and my dad. I'm a true son of a sailor. Everybody in most of the men in my family have served in the Navy. My dad. So you know, I I went up there, and my intention was to do the 4 years, and that led to 8. Got married, had kids. Pay was not too shabby. I mean, I wasn't making a crazy living, but I was comfortable. And next thing I know, 20 years was up, man. I mean,
Wow.
it was that quick. I mean, living in Europe, that was I met my wife. Well, I met my wife my first enlistment, and so my first 4 years. I think I was in 2.5 years when we got married, and real young. I mean, she had to buy my beer. She's older than I am, so yeah. So super young, and her family is Spanish. Her dad's retired Navy, and her mom was born and raised in Malaga, Spain, which is down on the Costa del Sol. And you do 4 years on a ship. So your first tour is 4 years. I was on a ship, and it was time to roll off the ship and go ashore, which means you're kind of in garrison. You're not deployable, and you pick where you want to go. And they sent me some choices, and one of them was Rota, Spain. And I knew if I didn't pick that, I would be divorced very quick. So we moved. My son was 3 months old, and we moved to Rota, Spain, which is right there by Gibraltar, and lived there for 3 years, and it was awesome. I mean, that was probably the best 3 years of my life, living
Nice.
abroad. And not a lot of guys can say they did that, in their 20s. I was, 20 something years old, and the dollar was super strong. They weren't on the euro yet, and we lived very well over there and traveled with Germany, with Portugal. We were all over the place, and it was a fantastic experience. You get a lot of people. I mean, they have some negative experience in the military, and I get it. I had some negative experiences too, but they did a lot for me. They took a guy that barely made it through high school and taught him a pretty good skill and paid me pretty decent and fed me. So took care of my family. It's not a bad little living. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, it's of us being the same generation, but I think it's lost on kids today that everyone thinks, oh, I'll get out of high school and I'll go to college. Okay, but for what? I mean, I know more people that are not college educated that are making more money than they could have made. Well, if you look at the cost factor of college versus going into a trade, like I work in IT, I was self-taught, and if I would have went to school, I would have still been paying dad out.
Absolutely.
It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Not knocking it. I think education is
Mhm.
super important. My oldest son is a high school history teacher. So, my youngest is going through, he's taking some classes through a community college right now, IT. And I think it's very important. It's not for everybody. The military is definitely not. It does require, sometimes you just have to just suck it up and not, and I'm not knocking anybody. It's just sometimes it's tough to do that.
Yeah.
And, I tell people all the time, one of the hardest lessons in life for a man is humility. Um, you know, a lot of people don't master it. And I don't think I'm a master of it, but I know it. And, sometimes you just have to just do what you're told and, you know, go on about your business. And that's the key to the military. Just my dad always told me, don't not try to be the best, but there's a time and a place for it because, you set a standard. And when you set a standard, your superiors will expect that of you all the time. And
Mhm.
it's hard to maintain. So when you decide to make that your career and set that standard is when it starts to become hard. My first 8-10 years was easy. The latter years were hard when I got into a supervisory role because now I have people, looking at me on both ends, and maintaining that standard was pretty tough. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. I try not to wear it on my sleeve now. I retired when I was 38. I'm 52 now, so it was about
Wow.
that much of my life, you know. So, yeah, good times.
It's it's funny you mention that because I think that that's the problem from Gen X to our kids is that as a Gen Xer, you grew up, you were a latchkey kid. You had a very different experience. Like my
Hmm.
boys are 19 and 25, and you tell them like, yeah, I used to go down the street with a pellet gun, walk right down the road, or bows and arrows, and I never once thought, you know what, let me hit Sean in the head with this bow and arrow. We never thought about it.
Never thought about it.
Or if you did, it was by accident. Hopefully,
Yeah,
with a bow and arrow. But we lived in a very much. Katie and I always joke around like we grew up as feral children, right? We didn't have adult supervision a lot at the time, and we did stupid shit, and we learned from it.
yeah,
And I think that that's something that's lost in this generation. Is like you said, it's humility and it's paying your dues. Like you get these kids, and I see all the time. It's well, I went to college. Okay. Well, what do
okay,
you know? Well, but I went to college. Okay.
yeah. Uh, y-
You and everybody else.
yeah, there's a lot, and that's what have you done to set yourself apart? What have
Mhm.
you done to it's getting where it's the standard now, and what have you done to make yourself stand out amongst your peers? And that's what I look at now, and my boss, we've talked. I've worked at the same company since I retired in 2010, and in the military you get a GI Bill, and I said, well, maybe I'll use some of this money and go to school. And I asked him, I said, would that benefit you for me to go back to school? And he looked at me and said, no. He said, I didn't hire you because you have a degree. I hired you because of your 20 years. You have a PhD in Navy, and that's
Mhm.
why I hired you. And it made sense to me. So I paid for my son's college with it. And I mean, I didn't want it to sit and you can hand it off to your kids if you don't use it
Oh,
yourself.
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So well, they've changed. There's been some changes in the last couple years. I was on the old post 9/11 GI Bill. It might still be transferable, but
Uh,
yeah. So he got pretty much his bachelor's degree paid for and got a stipend. So he got a stipend, which was funny because when he first got the first stipend, it was like $1,500 a month, which for a college kid, that's not bad.
yeah.
And I said, our names are the same. And I said, yeah, you just put that in this account. And he's like, well, wait a minute, that's my money. I said, no, that's my money. Uh, you're getting to go to college. You're living in my house, eating my food. You don't need a stipend. Um, but what I did was I put it away. And when he struck out on his own, that first apartment, you need bathroom rugs and, a trash can and, towels and all that crap, to start out of your pots and pans and stuff. I said, hey, look what I got for you. help you move into this apartment. So he would have blew it on video games, Mountain Dew or something. I don't know. So,
Well, I mean, it's not a bad life decision.
It's not a bad decision.
Not bad.
It's just,
you had me at Mountain Dew, but
yeah. But yeah, going back to you talking about being feral children and trying to, now I'm link this to motorcycles if you don't mind.
Oh, I'll carry do whatever you want.
That's something my parents did. When we moved to Mississippi, we had acreage, and my dad comes home with like a 1970 something Honda CB100 street bike and a Trail 50, and said, "Here you go." And my brother and I tore these things down, and we took that CB100 and turned it into, like, I guess now you would call it a scrambler. We took all the lighting off of it and put knobby tires on it, put a bigger sprocket, and we rode all over the woods there, with a machete, chopping trees and making trails and stuff like that. It was just, running wild. And, if you fell, you got hurt, and you said, "Man, I'm not going to do that again," and you went on about your life. But yeah, I mean, it was a good life. I hate to say it, I think you and I, we lived it, man. And I hate to see people that don't. There's some life experience there that you can get.
I had thought about this the other day, and I told my boys, and I completely forgot about it. We went down when I was in Marine ROTC, junior ROTC. I wasn't in real ROTC, but in high school, we went down to Washington, D.C. We went to 8th and I. We did a bunch of stuff. And there was a guy at the D.C. mall selling butterfly knives. So, we're a bunch of, bravado young kids. So we buy butterfly knives. They found out we had them, and they took them away from us. Rightfully so. At the end of the trip, we get called out. Guys, got to come over here. They give us our knives back. I'm like, can you imagine in today's day and age? So like, here, we just doing what you guys have on the trip.
You'd be in jail.
There would be SWAT teams involved.
You'd be in jail. Your parents would be in court, and oh my God. But the question I have is, did they find your throwing stars? Remember throwing stars? You go usually the guys that sold butterfly knives had throwing stars too.
Yeah, you had that. You had the nunchucks. You had the blow darts. You had all the good stuff. Because we were all going to be ninjas in the 80s. I mean,
absolutely.
Think about it. We did fail ourselves there. I mean, we were feral children, but we failed. We didn't quite live out the dream on the ninja.
Yeah, I think I'm an Excel ninja. I'm pretty good at Microsoft Excel, so I tell people I'm an Excel ninja.
There you go. We got to bring that back. We got to start using the term ninja more rather than the crazy motorcycle you'll kill yourself on. That's funny. Yeah. I think that's, I mean, we had talked about this even before the show and even before that, but I think humility goes a long way. It's not something that we're teaching young men.
No,
and especially too, like you said, I mean, that's how many people nowadays learn how to ride a motorcycle because they bought one and were like, "Oh, I can do this." It's what I did. And I made a left-hand turn on the road. I saw a car coming, so I gunned it and almost hit a pole, went off the road. Me, you learn.
Now you know not to do that.
Yeah, I did very quickly.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It would have been a very short obituary. Brian, who rode 300 feet on a motorcycle, died today.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I think it's we've definitely lost something. And it's a shame because and you and I've talked about this too, but it's like head down and do the work. It's something a lot of people don't understand anymore. Nothing. No,
they don't.
Bravado is great. You can flash. You can be, this, that, and the other thing. But if you don't do the work, what do you really have?
Yeah, you froze up.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. No, you didn't.
The storm here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It's getting cold here tonight. So I don't know. We don't really have much storm, but it's going to get really cold. So
yeah, it's like, I think it's like in the very low 20s. And the internet's garbage, but you don't need to see me. I'm not that attractive. It's all right. But yeah, so when you were in the military, what did you go in for?
Well, it's I don't want to go too deep in the weeds.
Oh, can we redact this? Can this be the episode?
No. It's
Liberty.
I was an operations specialist, and what do we do? On the ship, you have 3 major control centers. You have, of course, the bridge, which is where they drive the ship. You have a damage control or an engineering control center where they control, all the engineering propulsion type stuff. And then you have where I worked, which is known as a combat information center. And we operated all the radar and communication equipment, weapons, all that stuff for the ship. And so I sat in a dark room and watched radar scopes and talked on radios. My specialty was anti-submarine tactical aircraft control. So
Okay.
we use aircraft, rotary wing aircraft, helicopters, a P-3, which is a big prop plane, to hunt for submarines,
Wow,
and
very cool.
that's what I did. So it was exciting. I was kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, anytime I could learn something new, again, put the work in. I had a lot of opportunities in my career. When I was in Spain, I went there to fill a job as an operations specialist. When I got there, there were a lot of us, and we had some openings with a job that was known as a bosun mate. And a bosun mate are the guys that work on the main deck. They drive small boats, they handle lines, they do stuff like that, and a lot of outdoor work. And I like driving boats. I like being outside. And they had an opening, and I volunteered, and I went down and did that for 3 years. So I drove a little boat around the harbor and took out the
Nice.
harbor pilot to meet the ships coming in, because he would have to drive the ships into the harbor, and did that for 3 years, and did some recruiting, which is sales. I did some time as an instructor and as what we call an NMT, which is a naval military training instructor. It's kind of a drill sergeant.
Okay.
Did that at a school command, and yeah, I did a little bit of everything. Anytime I could learn something new, I wanted to be part of it. So that was, kind of what I did.
That's
So,
awesome.
because otherwise you go crazy. You're on a ship, in the middle of the ocean. You had to stay busy, and not that my job didn't keep me busy, but I couldn't sit idle. I had to sleep and do something. So that's what I did. What else could I volunteer for? So yeah, it was a good career, man. I enjoyed it. Spent some time boots on ground too. I actually did a tour to Afghanistan in 2007. Spent 8 months
Wow.
in Kabul. Went. They had a thing going on where, I'm sorry, I keep fiddling with stuff.
Fine.
We
I do the same thing. I rock all day.
yeah. I got these little twist things for my GoPro. So around that time frame, a lot of stuff was going on. Iraq, Afghanistan. We had a lot of irons in the fire as a country, and the Marine Corps and the Marine Corps and the Army were stretched pretty thin between Iraq and Afghanistan and other operations going on. So they needed more personnel, and big DOD decided it would be more cost effective to, instead of taking a 19-year-old off the street and training them to be a soldier or a Marine, let's go to our sister services, the Navy and the Air Force, Coast Guard, and see if there's jobs that can transfer over to the Army. And we send you down for a little quick soldier training for about 3 weeks. So I got volunteered for that and went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, spent 3 weeks going through like a crash course on being a soldier. And
Okay.
I went on loan to the U.S. Army for 8 months, worked directly right embedded with a group of guys out of Germany. And they've been working
Interesting.
together for a while, and probably hands down the best deployment I've done in my entire life. Those guys took such great care of me because they knew I wasn't a professional soldier. I was there to perform a specific job that really wasn't kicking in doors or anything like that. It's more of some analysis and stuff. And they took really good care of me. And I met some really nice people and made some good friends over there. So it was pretty cool experience to see
Now,
that side of the military.
yeah. No, what was it like being in Afghanistan? It's got
um,
to, because I don't, that's not something you can just do, right? There's
no,
not a lot of people have been there.
it was, it was different. You got used to it after a while. The first, few weeks, it was really scary, again, because that's not my element. At the time, I'd been in the Navy for 17 years. So
Mhm.
all of my deployments have been shipboard. I've been in war zones, I've been in combat zones, but it's a little different on board of ship. We're out to sea and we're dealing with a different threat. You're not really staring at your threat. So being that close to the threat was a little odd. Um, After a while, though, I mean, it was just like anything else. I mean, we had a nice facility. Again, there were some guys that are over there that were in some really, rough, situations. They're out on what we called FOBs, the forward operating bases, and they were very limited resources. I was kind of in a garrison in the rears at a headquarters, and we had, internet. I could get mail in 5 days.
Hmm.
Had a telephone. I had a direct line in my room to call my wife whenever I wanted to. So, not a bad deployment, But yeah, it was a little different. The people, we didn't get to really interact with the people a whole lot though because of what was going on. We didn't really go out and mingle with the locals,
Mhm.
But I did get to see it from afar, and it's definitely, that's one thing. The places I've been, you appreciate what you have, as an American. Some of these countries you go to and you see how people live, and one of the things that just pops into my head about Afghanistan was every morning I would wake up and I would go outside, and you'd smell smoke in the air. And you're like, what in the world is on fire? It'd just be a haze of smoke. So about after day 3, I'm asking this guy, I'm like, what are they burning every day? He's like, yeah, they're just burning some shit. And I'm like, what? I was like, what kind of shit are they burning? He's like, no, they're burning shit. Um, their sewer system, they didn't have a modern sewer system. So they basically, kind of be too graphic, they take the sewage, they put it in a big
Yeah.
like lake, it evaporates down, and then whatever's left over, they burn it. So you may hear about it on the news now. They talk about the burn pits,
Mhm.
and that's what it was. And just something like that, we flush a toilet, and these people had a bucket at their house, and truck comes by and they dump it in there a couple times a week. That's 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 something else. You know what I'm saying? That's, you take for granted some of these things that we have, to have, water running in your house and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty eye opening. But yeah, I think it made me a better man getting to see it, and appreciate what I have. So
Do you
yeah,
think that that's sort of tied in with your view on humility? I mean, to see something like that?
I think so. I mean, you know, we all want to beat our chests and say, we're Americans and we're the best. And I will never argue with anybody about that. But you know, it's humbling to go over and see people, that, don't know what it's like to have running water in their house or
Mhm.
an automobile or, a refrigerator. They have meat hanging up. Africa's that way. I've been to Africa. There's, you see people like that. Another country that pops in mind is Georgia, the country of Georgia, not the state.
I
The
was going to
state,
say, well, we've lost Georgia viewers.
the state too, but the country of Georgia, a very poor country, and a lot of those Eastern European countries, just little things that you and I are used to, central heat, central air, things like that. They don't have, and yeah, makes you think, makes you appreciate what we do have, why people are so excited to come here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I dated a girl who parents were missionaries, and she spent pretty much most of her childhood growing up in Papua New Guinea.
Mm,
And we were talking one night about something, I forget. It was just some random conversation. She's like, well, that's why we didn't have pets. What do you mean you have pets? She's like, well, why would we have pets? She's like, because nobody in Papua New Guinea has pets because tomorrow they could be food. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. I never thought of it that way.
we eating it.
Okay. But
I,
you don't think like that.
no, I think I've eaten some questionable meats in my life. So yeah, you just don't ask questions. So just
Yeah,
eat food.
that is something that I've thought about a lot too, right? Is we live in this consumerist society where and we're guilty of it, right? You all want motorcycles, we want this, we want that, but we don't take time to appreciate the things because we always want more. And then we talk about having stress and having financial issues and all this, but it's based on because we want more. So it's like a never ending cycle.
How much of that stress do we impose on ourselves? And that's the thing, you know, and it's tough. I mean, you know, building a motorcycle, I mean, yeah, that's first world problems, but you know, I'm like you know, I've got a vision for my motorcycle and things that I want to do. And this stuff costs money. You know, for a long time, I tried to do things on a budget, and I always try to do things on a budget, but you know, you get what you pay for. And, you know, some of these products, they're quality products, and you know, you should pay for a quality product. You know, that's why it's quality. And I'm starting to see that, and just doing that, a little stress, you know, you're like, man, I spent $700 on motorcycle stuff last month. You know, that's, you don't realize it, you know, until you're looking at your bill and going, holy crap, man. But you know, I'm happy to be able to do it, and not a lot of people can.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because I think in this stage of our lives, Katie and I were talking this last night, that you understand that it's going to hurt, right? That purchase is going to hurt, but if you don't have to buy it again, you really are saving money in the long run, because
Absolutely.
cheaper winds up always being more expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this, but you know, I went out, I had this stock Harley seat, got rid of it, got a Harley hammock, had that for like a year, hated it, got rid of it. So now and then got my Mustang. So at that point, I don't know, you're probably 1,800 hours in for one seat when you could have just bought the better seat and sucked it up.
You know, I have a Mustang, and they're just, they're fantastic seats. And I didn't, for years, I mean, I rode a Sportster for a long, I mean, hell, I rode a Ducati, and then I rode a Sportster. So I get on my first touring Harley, and I'm like, ooh, this is nice. And that was an 06 Road King, you know, with the old air shocks and the stock seat and 5-speed, you know, gearbox, you know, and I'm like, look at me go. And then I start thinking about going to Sturgis, and I'm like, this 5-speed's not going to do very good on I-90 doing 80 miles an hour. And so I go to an Ultra, and, you know, it's got the Ultra seat and it's comfortable. And I'm like, ooh, this is nice. But then when you get your first taste of, you know, aftermarket suspension and a quality seat, you're like, oh my gosh, what have I been missing? You know, I'm running suspension technologies now, and those, I freaking love those shocks. And then the Mustang, it's heated, man. I get, my butt is warm going to work in the morning. That is awesome, you know? So, you know, that's just the little things that, yeah, what you pay for. I mean, I just did that video on the Tour Pack light from Custom Dynamics, you know, and I put this very inexpensive one on there back when I was doing some work last year, and it lasted pretty much a year to the day. And the LEDs started, you know, going, I noticed they were going at, they were, you know, blowing, and, you know, $52. It went in a dumpster the other day.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's gone. So my thing was that, you know, the Custom Dynamics wasn't available at the time. And you know this, I mean, I think we talked about it a while back. You know, there was a period where they were on back order for a while, and I wanted to get, I didn't want to have red and smoke. Yeah. I didn't want to have red and smoke lenses on my bike. So I said, I'll just buy this cheap smoke lens. And yeah, it lasted a year. So I'm super pleased with my Tour Pack light. I sit out there and stare at it. So yeah.
It's amazing, because I think that was one of the most sought after things that people wanted. And I don't think that they realized the demand was going to be that high.
Yeah, it was right after Sturgis when I was doing this, that year that we missed each other in OC, because that was the reason I went up there. I said, I'm going to go up there, and everybody that's flying a Custom Dynamic sign, maybe they have one in their trailer. You know, maybe they bought up, you know, because they were sold out on the website. You know, Revzilla, JP, everybody was sold out on the smoke lens. And I said, maybe I can get lucky and somebody's got one on their trailer. And yeah, nothing. There's a couple red lenses, but I couldn't get the smoke lens. That's what I wanted. So
Yeah, that's a really nice light, and especially for a tour pack. Any of that light that sits up high, I'm always a
Yep.
huge fan. I mean, I'm a huge fan of lighting in general. And
Yeah, it's important. It's if you ride enough and you ride after dark, you need to be seen. I mean, I don't know how. I've never been up there. I mean, I've been to Philly. I know you're not far from Philly, but I know around here, it's very congested and people drive ridiculous. It's very similar to driving in DC if you've ever driven in DC. And people are very aggressive, and motorcycles have to be seen. I mean, you have to be seen or you're going to end up on the news. So yeah, it's very important.
yeah, I think that the lighting is important. I don't know if you were in it. We have the magic strobes on both the tour pack and the lower end of the bike.
I don't have them, but I think I'm going to do the magic strobe.
We I was surprised the difference they make, because at first thought you're like, oh my god, somebody's going to crash into me because they're going to be bedazzled right when it goes
Yeah.
up. I was surprised at just how much room people give you, because I think at a subconscious level it scares the hell out of them
Yeah.
because it's so intense that we where was it when we were on Route 6? I forget where we were, but we went into this little bar that the place we went horseback riding told us about. And this guy pulls up next to us and he's kind of looking at me. And I'm like, oh shit, like he's going to have something to say. I don't know. Maybe it was the strobes, whatever. And he goes, what's that on your lights? And I told him, he's like, man, he's like, I was like a half mile down the road and I could see. He's like, that was awesome because I knew right where you were.
Yep.
And I was like, well, thank you. I said, that's why they're there. I don't want to get run down.
I know I pump my brakes. I mean, if I'm sitting at a traffic light and I'm watching my mirrors, the 5-second rule, and I see somebody approaching, I'll sit there and pump them because, like I said, they will come right up on you. I've had to slide up between. We can't lane split in Virginia, but I've had to do it. I mean, I've had people come up on me so quick that I've had to slip up in between, lanes on them. So, yeah, it's dangerous out there. But
I was
anyway.
I got a lot of amusement, and I still do, out of this. When you get people that like going to tailgate you, and then you just hit that, and all of a sudden they don't tailgate you anymore for the rest of that ride. It's like,
the flashing.
Whoa, we're off.
Now, can you adjust it on the fly? Can you adjust?
No, you can adjust it under the seat. There's multiple
Gotcha.
settings, but you can't adjust it on the fly. That'd actually be pretty cool.
That would be super cool if you could just make it go crazy on them. So
my I run the 6. I think it's 6 pole seats, and it goes solid. I think it's like that, but it's I got to put it back on because I have mixed lights on my bike because the fender didn't come with custom dynamics lights, so it was acting up. So I got to swap my lights out. But yeah, it's like anything with safety. I always think it's funny that people will put money into exhaust, they'll put money into cams, but they won't put the money into the rider triangle where the money's going to get the return, right? If you have a good seat, you're going to ride more. You have good bars, you're going to ride more.
Yep.
You have good suspension, you're going to ride more. You're not going to ride more because your exhaust sounds cool. You're just not.
No, and I agree with you there. I mean, I'm tempted to do a lot of horsepower modifications, but that I'm done with that. I want to put gas in it, and I want to ride it, and I want it to be comfortable. I have a 103. It's a twin cam 103, and I have zero problems with it. I mean, I'm about 200 pounds, and even when I load it up, I have no problems going over mountains or anything like that. I always laugh when I hear, performance bagger. I mean, I'm not knocking. I know some of them are phenomenal machines, but I'm like, it's a touring motorcycle, man. It's not a racing motorcycle. It's built for comfort, and I'm with you on that. I like it to sound good. Don't get me wrong. I think pipes can be safety. A little bit of more noise, but other than that, I mean, I don't think I really have any desire to do like a stage 2 or anything like that. I'm happy with the way the bike runs, and I'm going for a look, and of course safety. Got some more lights to go in the back, so I'm super excited. I got the CVO bars now.
Nice. That's what
I bought the fascia to extend the fender to match the saddlebags, and I have the low profile, Pro Beam tail light and a fender tip light. So I didn't want to lose that because that's a big investment too. But the CVO lights I think are going to look really nice. So I'm probably going to be ordering a set of Pro Beam CVO inserts to go in there, and I think I'll be done. Maybe. Yeah, we'll go to the front of the bike next.
Well, yeah, and that's. I mean, my whole bike it's weird too, because then it's not a knock on Evan Black, but the difference between the CVO filler lights on their CVO style fender, which is what I have, versus the custom dynamics, which drives me forget about the brightness. Hands down, the custom dynamics lights are brighter. But it's the color temperature. The reds are different. It drives me insane. I'm like, I gotta get these things off.
Well, and I agree, because I want to stay with the Pro Beam because I want it all to look the same. I
That's
don't
what I
want to
mean.
have mismatch. And you know, I have Zero bag blades on mine. They look fine. The reds match and they look fine. And I think it was an availability thing with Custom Dynamics then too. And you know, I wanted the sequential reds, and they had them, and that's what I went with. And so, you know, but other than that, you know, I don't want to be able to say everything on my bike is Custom Dynamics, which is nice, but as long as I have my bag blades, I'm not gonna be able to say that. But I'm happy with them. They look good, and it's another quality product. So I'm pleased with it. You know, it's a good deal.
I like sequential too because it draws your attention. It's just more movement.
I just like Knight Rider.
I've got the big they're the CVO style, I guess, bag blades.
Yeah, the thicker one.
Yeah, I was looking at the thinner ones. I'm like, yeah, but they don't match, and they look cool because it's real chunky back there.
Yeah,
but she's thick. I mean, she's got a big booty, so you know,
nothing wrong with that, man.
Kind of worth it. No, I like them thick. It's
the only thing that sucks about the little thin ones, and I've already done it with mine. When you go to remove the saddlebags, you grab it, and then that tape, I've already popped it loose because you need to reach all the way down, and I forget. So I got to get some 3M tape and reapply those, but and just train myself not to grab that light back there whenever I move the saddlebags. But other than that, I mean, I'm happy with it. I just like my motorcycle. I love my motorcycle. I like riding it, and you know, that's what it's about. It's just having fun.
What made you buy
it? This one,
particular model, yeah.
Sturgis.
Okay. Well, you did say that. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's fine. When I rode the Sturgis, I wanted to be comfortable, and I've always liked the Ultras, and it's the Geezer Glide. When I bought it, man, it's the straight up Ultra. Was it what do they call it? Electra Glide Ultra Classic. So it had the big tall windshield, and it's got, you know, the crash bars on the front and around the bags, and you know, straight up Geezer Glide. And I've done a little change into it, and my vision, I kind of just jokingly call it embracing the Electra Glide. And what I'm doing is I don't want to take away from it. I want to keep all those Electra Glide features. I just want to make them better. So things like the LED upgrades, stretching the bag, stretching the fender. I didn't remove the fender tip light, which, you know, I know you're familiar with the tri-bar light. A fender tip light is that chunky, it looks like a bumper. And Custom Dynamics is the only ones that make an LED. So I kept all that, and I wanted to keep it and just kind of make it look better. So that's my vision with it. And, you know, it's just, I want it to be comfortable. I want it to look nice. I want it to be safe. So yeah, that's why I bought it. And it's the best color Harley ever made. Vivid black. So
vivid, you know, black on black.
It's a premium color now. So, you know, I'm happy.
Yeah, that was a weird move. I get it though, because black's really hard to keep clean as far as like scratching and stuff. So
yes,
I get it, but I was surprised. I also noticed, and there's obviously going to be more to it, but if you look at the Road Glide and the Road Glide Limited and the Ultra Limited, they're only blacked out on the site for 2024. So I'm curious to see if they're going to bring something to that, or if that's by design that they're only going to be blacked out. That would be interesting, because I know
it would be
Chrome blacked out. Everybody love hate.
I'm one of these guys. I like Chrome. You know, the murdered out look, I respect it. I think it looks fantastic. But personally, I just Harley Davidson says Chrome to me, and that's what I like to see. So especially in the Ultra, man, an Electra Glide, that's supposed to get your eye, lights and chrome. That's what you want to see in an Electra Glide. So
It's weird. As much as I hated the limited, I'm sorry, the Ultra for having chrome on it. It wasn't a hate. It's just kind of like you want something different, right? I always wanted a Road Glide. I always wanted a blacked out Road Glide.
Yep.
The heart wants what the heart wants. There's no logic here.
Absolutely.
When I got the limited, I had come from a Suzuki Intruder 1500. So, it's a beefier, this obviously was a beefier bike, but I couldn't, it was amazing to me when you polish that chrome, how good it looks just in that brief moment before you think, but it's like, it's stunning. You don't get it from that black look.
Yeah. And that's what I like it. I mean, that's what I like about it. I enjoy it's therapy for me to go out there and wipe it down. I have sitting on my workbench next to the bike is a bottle of Bug Slide and a rag on top of it. And it stays there because I'll go out there, grab it and do chrome. On days like today when it's freezing cold or when it's raining and stuff like that, I want to touch it. I want to go out there and be in the vicinity of the machine, so that's good therapy. Working on bikes, I enjoy doing that. I enjoy working on them because to me, I think it's the next best thing to riding. So, putting something on it, doing some kind of repair. I really like doing that. So yeah, I like being around it, man. Too much.
It's a bit humbling when you, it's a bit humbling when my wife bought her car and I'm looking at the monthly payment and I'm like, I'm just going to shut up. It's the same price as my bike. Oh, I made crazy life decisions. But then again, I also don't drive. I drive a 10-year-old car. So it's all where you want to put your money.
We just recently bought a new car and it was out of necessity. And I drove a beater for a lot of years and she always had a nice vehicle. And then I had my motorcycle because I ride my motorcycle 90% of the time. I have about a 7-minute commute every morning. So, I ride it a lot but I do need a vehicle for inclement weather or, maybe I need to take somebody somewhere or something like that. So we got another vehicle, but in that deal, what we did was I paid off my motorcycle. So I was super excited that my title is going to be in my hands here in a couple of days when the DMV gets it to me. So that's a good feeling, but yeah, absolutely. We're driving a brand new 2024 and yeah, it's not quite the same payment, but it's damn near close. And yeah. So a lot of money. But you know what, man? You never see a hearse with a trailer hitch, right?
Well, yeah, you don't see that. And what's the saying? You only die once. I mean, if I go out, I'm going. I don't. It's a shame, and that's something too. I think you realize as you get older that I had regret for not serving the country. I've had this regret or that regret, and that was one of the. I didn't start riding until I was 40, and I literally like cashed out some money in my 401k, and it was FU money at that point. I'm like, you know what? I'm now divorced. I don't have anyone to answer to. I'm dealing with my own demons. Like, let's just have at it. I think the first year I had 3 bikes. I went through 3 bikes, and at that point, I'm like, it would have been better to do drugs. But it was, I was hooked.
For you, it's what you wanted to do, and that's what it's about. And I think sometimes we worry so much about things, and if we spent less time worrying and more time just doing, we'd be much more happy. And I'm not talking about making stupid mistakes, stupid decisions, but if you can afford to get something and not take away from your family or things like that, why not enjoy it now? I've come to grips that I don't think I'm ever going to retire.
I'm 100% there.
Yeah. I don't think, and it's not that it's the financial side. I don't think I can do it. I have to do something. And, I don't know if it's going to be what I'm doing right now, but I would love to, hang out at the parts counter at a Harley dealership, and sell, oil. I don't know, man, something, I'm not going to be able to just do nothing, with myself. My dad quit working when he was 56 years old, 56 years old.
Wow.
And I can't imagine that. I I don't see myself doing it. So I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to have nice things. And if I can't have nice things, then I'll work harder. That's just the way it has to be, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So
and you said it too. You're not taking away from your family and prioritizing. I mean, I think it was Adam Sandoval that said it. You know, we all go out and we buy the newest iPhone every year or whatever your addiction, you know, whatever your thing is.
yep,
And you don't realize you got the dinner, that's $100. Well, if you got dinner 4 times a month, there's a bike, a brand
it
new
is.
bike.
Absolutely.
And
Um,
it's all perspective. You
I have
know?
one of the worst vices in the world, and I'd keep it hidden. But I'm no stranger to tobacco.
Mhm.
And that right there, man, just
Yeah.
the money that I spend on that is just stupid. I sit and look at it sometimes, and my wife and I've looked at it, and I'm like, I could go right now and get a new motorcycle
Mhm.
and, you know, trade in this one, whatever I get for it, and then buy a brand new motorcycle and probably spend the same amount of money if I would just stop messing around with tobacco. And yeah, the ridiculous stuff we spend money on, you know, soda and coffee and just ridiculous stuff, man. So
Well, and that's the problem too, right? Because we have this society of consumerism. We grow up wanting things, right? We all want things, right? We want bikes, we want lights, but you can get so obsessed with the things rather than having one thing that you enjoy, rather than 20 things that you can't keep going because you can't afford them,
yep.
you know, whether it's a hobby or not. And yeah, I mean, we recently went through that with my wife wanted all new cookware because we were going through cookware like every 3 years. She's like, oh, but if I forget America's Test Kitchen, some crazy YouTube channel that I somehow got sucked into watching for 9 hours one night. Of my own, I was fascinated, but she's like, oh, this pan's $80. I'm like, yeah, but if you got to eat, that's $80. If you got the nice dinner, you know, even if you go to TGI Fridays, you know, a couple
Yeah.
drinks, you're $80 in. So why not buy the pan? And now you've saved all that money.
If you're eating dinner for $80, then I want to know where you're going and what you're eating because
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, we still have a kid. So, you know, it's three of us. And I can't go anywhere without dropping 100, 125. It seems
Yeah.
like, man, every time I go somewhere. I mean, it's crazy. We went to Taco Bell the other day, me and my son, and it was like $40. And I'm like, what happened to Taco Bell? You know?
Yeah, we went to McDonald's for the 4 of us. Oh, we got somewhere cheap. We went to McDonald's and they ring it up and I'm like, "What? Wait, what? Like,
Yeah.
how is this possible?"
I started sounding like my dad. You don't need no McDonald's. I got McDonald's at home. You know? So,
In
you know,
my
that's
day, we ate
yeah.
crackers for dinner.
Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is, man. But I'm with you, man. Enjoy life. You know, don't stress the small stuff. Um, you know, don't be stupid, but you know, enjoy yourself. And you know, I think motorcycles, this YouTube thing, all this stuff, in my opinion, I try to keep it positive. I try to keep it, you know, where I want to do it. And that's the
Mhm.
big thing. You know, if you want to do it and you're having fun doing it, then say do it, man. Have a good time. You
So
know,
that's a thank you. You brought up a nice natural segue there.
did we say that?
So what got you into the YouTube games? You've been doing YouTube for 2 years?
Yeah, right about 2 years. I mean, I think I'm like most people, you know, the events of, you know, 20, 21, 22 um, led me to it.
Mhm.
Um, I always have used YouTube as a tool. So things like, you know, man, how do you do this? And I would go look it up, you know, or I'd watch, some random video, not really so much sat down and like watch moto content.
Mhm.
And during that time, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned, used to be very, very bitter. And I got tired of watching what was on television.
Yep.
Um, and it led me to YouTube. And I think one of the first videos, I think I stumbled across a shade tree video. And I watched that and I said, that's entertaining. And, you know, once you watch one, the algorithm picks it up. And next thing you know, I'm getting other stuff. Pro Monkey was just starting out.
Mhm.
I think he was in the hundreds with
Yeah.
subscribers. I started watching him, and then you know that just leads to more and more. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, you know, that looks really interesting. I think I can do that. I think I can do it. And I had a GoPro, so I gave it a shot. And, I used to joke around, and I still kind of do. I identify as a motovlogger. I enjoy motovlogging, uh, but I do want to do other things. I'm stepping away from that a little bit. I'm doing more install. Uh, I'm opening up. I'm letting people know a little bit about me. I used to be very reserved about that. Um, but I just once I started doing it, man, it just got to be fun. I mean, I was on overload for a while. I was dropping 2, 3 videos a week when I started.
Mhm.
And they were very bad, very bad videos. They're still there. Don't go watch them. But I think I was using a Hero 4, and it's just all over the place, and I'm looking over here and there and just rambling really. And then, you know, we were talking before we started recording here, I got some really good criticism from different people and some constructive criticism. And I went and did mini VAM. So they had the first VAM and it
Uh,
rained. And then they had the little makeup one in August. I went out there and I met some folks, McStash and some other, people that have been doing it a little longer, and got some pointers and some stuff, and started honing it in. And I'm still honing. I'm still learning every day, and that's what I enjoy about this. I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning about videography, which I'm not that good at, but it is what it is. Um, and it's just, to me, it's just a good outlet, a good positive creative outlet to do something. I try to do one video a week when I can, and try to keep it motorcycle related, try to keep it positive. Sometimes we stray away from that,
mhm.
but you know, that's what it was. I mean, it was just those events of those years, man. That was a dark time for a lot of people,
Yeah.
and I was one of them. And I had to do something besides sit in the house. And I don't want to get political or
No,
crazy.
no, I get
It
it.
was
I
garbage, but
totally get it.
there was a
It's
lot of negativity in the world, and I had to remove myself from social media. And so the only thing that I would do was YouTube, even though it's a form of social media. I would just watch that. Um, so yeah, that's what got me in there, man.
yeah, yeah, it's a shame because I think for us, right, social media, we grew up in a time of, like AOL and CompuServe and all these things that in our generation, you're like, this is really cool. Like, I can send an email. I had no one to
Mhm.
email people, but damn it, I wanted an email address, because I
I
was a
would
nerd.
email everybody. Yeah.
And we all had pagers and we had all these things, and it was really cool at the time. And now you see the dark side of that. You see, what it's become, and you're like, ooh, like when the genie was still in the bottle, we kind of had control, and then
Yeah.
it just,
It's
you know,
it's it's a mess. And now I've learned, to take everything with a grain of salt,
mhm,
and not get so worked up over things. And you know, remember some of the words my dad told me: if you don't like it, change the channel.
mhm,
That's that simple. If you don't like what somebody's saying, somebody's doing, turn it off. You don't have to comment. You don't have to get into an argument with them.
mhm,
You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just move on. And it's that simple. So yeah, when I started learning that, and I was in my late 40s before I learned that lesson. And
yeah,
that's part of that, just moving on with things. But yeah, I love doing this. I mean, I wish I had more time to do it, but I think we all do. Um, but right now it's fun, and I am going to continue to do it as long as it is fun.
there you go.
That's my goal. Yeah. So,
That's positive. Now, if you had if you had to throw out a number, how much motorcycle content do you think you watch versus other things on YouTube?
ooh, see, I watch a majority of the content I watch on YouTube is motorcycle related.
Uh,
However, and I don't know if this is where you're going. Since I've started, whenever I say this, it seems so weird. Since I've started creating,
since you
uh,
became a celebrity.
yeah, right. Um, that has suffered because I only allow myself so much screen time.
Mhm,
And so the more time I spend editing, researching thumbnails, making thumbnails, thinking of catchy titles, using the TubeBuddy, doing all that stuff, that's time I used to watch people. So I don't watch as much as I want to. What I do right now, because I am still a small channel, one of my things that I try to do is if I notice another content creator commenting on my videos, um, and they're not somebody that I watch regularly, I make it a point to go watch one of their videos. I just think that's just the pay it forward thing, or just,
Mhm.
return the favor. If they're going to take the time to not only watch a video, but leave me a comment, then I'm going to take the time to return that to them. So right now I'm able to do that. I know as your channels grow, and if I continue to grow, then that might become more difficult. But right now, that's what I try to do. I try to have YouTube running. I'm fortunate when I'm at work, I can have it running off to the side.
Mhm.
So while I'm working, I can listen a lot. I listen to a lot of live streams that way. I don't really participate in live streams, but I like to go back and listen to them later, like a podcast. So I listen to that because it's a good way to know what's going on in the community. What are people talking about? What are people doing? Just by listening to those live streams, a lot of good information comes out in those. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know what a number would be. I don't
I was
know.
just curious. I mean, even because everybody has a different viewpoint on that. Mine's going to be a lot different than others, and I was just curious.
Yeah. I do watch a lot of other stuff. I have another um login that I use because I try to keep my channel when I log in under that. I want my algorithm to be all motorcycle related.
Mhm.
So I have another one, personal one, whatever. Because you were talking about watching cooking or kitchen shows. I've started watching. I don't know if you ever watched it. These guys that use these magnet fishing.
Mhm.
Oh my god, I bought one. Um, and that thing is awesome. I mean, I've only found like a fork and some weird stuff like that. Nothing cool, but it's just I watch that and I just get hypnotized by these dudes magnet fishing. And the funny thing is, I um I have a reel, I think, on Instagram. I think I even made it a short. And we have an above ground pool. So when I was winterizing it last year, you got to disconnect I don't know how familiar you are, but you got to disconnect the whole pump and put it away so it doesn't freeze. So I had a pair of channel lock pliers out there. And after I did all that and got the cover on, I started looking for my channel locks. I'm like, where's my pliers at? So I'm like, did they fall in the pool? So the skimmer on the side of the pool, I could take my phone, put it on record, and stick it in there underneath the cover. And and so I bring it out. I'm like, yep, there they are on the bottom of the pool. So I'm like, oh man, I don't want to take this cover off again. Jeez. So I went and got that magnet and ran it down the skimmer and grabbed them wires. Well, those pliers. Well, something told me to record it, and it is the best performing reel that I've ever made. It has got like thousands of views of me pulling a pair of channel lock pliers out of my pool with a fishing magnet. I don't get it, man. It is unbelievable, but I love it. I mean, that's freaking awesome.
It's really cool to me that things you wouldn't watch or you wouldn't think you'd spend time, you can go down a rabbit hole. Like I was on this rabbit hole of like watching videos about tripods because I wanted to buy a new tripod. And next thing you know, I spent an entire day watching tripods. We were looking at pans, and we started watching America's Test Kitchen, and
Uh-huh.
Katie's laughing at me. She's like, "What? You just keep talking." I'm like, "Cause I'm fascinated by this." I'm like, I'm fascinated by the lighting. I'm fascinated by the way they do their audio. Now I'm fascinated by the design of the pans because I'm a design nerd, and I'm like, this is. I'm not going to tell anybody I'm doing this, but I'm. Well, I am obviously. I'm like, I'm fascinated now. It's amazing what you can go down this rabbit hole of.
It is. YouTube has got, and we're not just YouTube, but like IG Reels and stuff. There's so much stuff to watch. We have what brand? It's an LG television, smart TV.
Mhm.
And when you buy an LG TV, it comes with LG channels.
Yep.
So they're free, and there's several hundred. And there's one out of Korea, and they have this little girl that sits there and eats and she don't talk. She just eats. And the mic is like, I don't know how they have her mic'd up, but you can hear every crunch, every swallow. And she is so little. She's that big around. And she will have a table full of food and she will eat everything on that table. It is hypnotizing. I will hours watch this little girl eat. I don't know what she's eating. It's all Asian food, which I love Asian food, but I can't stop watching it. That is my go-to when I have nothing else to do. I watch this little girl on KTV eat. It's crazy. I don't understand it, but it is what it is, man.
It's I think that's the good and bad of YouTube, right? Somebody made this comment the one day I thought it was really funny. They're like, remember when we didn't have Amazon? Like you'd go in a store, you'd buy a stapler. Oh, look, it's a stapler. I'm going to buy a stapler. Now you're on Amazon for 5 hours reading reviews. I went down that rabbit hole with desks. I'm like, if this were any other period of my life, I would have walked into Staples, walked out with a desk, and been completely happy with it.
But
I'm
now
worried
you got
about,
to read what everybody's saying about it.
Well, Sean from Mississippi said that one leg wasn't 90 degrees. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's 91, it's going to be a problem.
There's some things that I won't buy in person just because, well, I'm a fan of Amazon. I mean, yeah, Bing and it shows up on my front door. I absolutely love that. But there are some things that I refuse to order online. I still grocery shop. I know a lot of people don't. I still go to the store and walk up and down the aisles. So many of my friends just do the, Walmart app or whatever it is, and they pull up and dude brings it out, puts it in the car. I don't know what it is. I like to walk up and down the aisles for stuff like that. But I'm with you. There's some things, stapler. Yeah, I'm ordering that on Amazon. I'm not going to the store to buy a stapler. So yeah.
And it's weird because we again, we're of that generation where you used to be able to have that tactile experience. And now there's some things, it's both good and bad, right? Because what was it? When I ordered my Apple monitor, I was went through all these monitors, because it's that generation. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Going all in and buying the Apple monitor. I think it was 3 hours later, it was here by a courier. I'm like, this is insane.
That's awesome.
I'm like, how is it that I can pick up my phone and order a monitor and 3 hours later it's here? It's insane.
Wally's happening.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Today's color is red, and we're all going to turn red. It's Wally is happening, and it excites me, but it also scares me. There's some things that I think human interaction is very important. But I'm a fan of self checkout. I know people don't like that, but believe it or not, I'm really not a people person.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If I can go and not have to talk to a person, I am so happy. I mean, if I could just go into a store, get what I need, boop, boop myself, put it in my bag and walk out. And it never fails. I got some dude want to talk to me behind me in line, but the whole purpose of going, I think if you go to the self-checkout, there should be a sign saying, don't talk.
It's the quiet train car. Yeah.
I came here for a reason. I don't want to talk to people. If I want to talk to somebody, I'll go stand in line over there and, talk to the cashier. But things like that I'm a fan of. But some things I'm very old school on, and I want to, have human interaction. But yeah, there's some things I just would rather just get it over with.
When COVID first hit, we wound up being 3 or 4 years ahead of time of when we were going to buy a touring bike. But that was, that was the goal. We wound up being ahead of it. But during COVID, one of the local dealers had a thing where you could do everything via DocuSign. They would leave the bike outside with keys on the seat. I'm like, if that isn't the American dream, nothing is.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to salespeople. Everybody's like, oh, how come you don't go to your dealer that much? Because they want to talk to me. I just want to look at stuff and play with
I just want to go in there and look around. So yeah.
I walked in the door at the dealership I got my bike serviced at. They changed hands. I don't, no exaggeration. I wasn't 5 feet in the door. One of the fit specialists, which translates into somebody that's making commission, doesn't know the first thing what you're selling you, comes up and says, we're running a special today. you can trade it. What do you ride? I said, I ride a Road Glide Limited. We're doing a special today. You can trade in and get the same exact payment. Okay. But I came in here for foot pegs. Yeah, but you could trade them in and get the same exact payment. Okay. But I've got like $20,000 worth of mods on my bike. But it's the same payment. We're not following each other here.
No, we're not seeing eye to eye here.
Like, so you're gonna throw in my suspension? Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, I understand they got a job, but somebody pushes back once, let them go. I mean, that's the way I look at it. I try to avoid the dealer as much as possible. But I mean, I know sometimes you got to go and get certain things from them, certain screws or whatever it may be. But I tend to buy most of my parts. We have a couple shops that are drag dealers, so I'll just go to them. I did my stator, and I bought everything from an independent shop, and it was a much better experience, dealing with them. So saved a little bit of money too. So,
yeah, and it's a shame too, because I feel like all these, my dealership got bought out by a gentleman that owns a bunch of car dealerships, and that's it's taken that approach.
Yeah,
you walk on the lot and they're up your ass like, what are you buying? What are you buying today? I can go talk to Bob in the back. We can make payments work. And you're like, come on, man,
I just went through it, man. It was a nightmare, and yeah, I'm glad it's over with. I don't want to do it again for another 8-10 years.
Yeah. Well, I think so. I forget who it might have been Mike from Riding the Ozarks. Somebody was talking about, would Harley ever go to the point like where Tesla did? Could I go in and order my bike online? I make the payments and it just shows up at my house. Like, that would be, for me personally, that'd be the greatest experience in the world, especially if it's new.
If they made it an option, that would be, I think they should make it an option for people that want to do it. You know what you want, you know what you like. Kind of like the Carvana thing, whatever, you know exactly, you've done your research, and hey, I want a 2024 Road Glide CVO in this color. Send it to me. And that's it. I think it's a fantastic idea. I think they should get on board with that. But then if somebody wants to go in and touch it and feel it, then yeah, you can come in and touch it and feel it too.
Well, I mean, yeah, because at the end of the day, you had one of every model in the showroom. I mean, you could. I don't know that it'll ever work, but especially because a bike isn't a car, right? A bike's a luxury item. You don't need a bike.
Yeah.
You want a bike. And so it's not the same, it's not like your bike blew up on a Friday and it's got to be replaced by Monday morning kind of thing.
You can wait. Well, there was a time, I mean, you said you started riding in your 40s. There was a time, if you wanted a Harley, you were waiting. There was no, I mean, you might be able to go in and get a used one. But if you were buying a new Harley, you were going to wait for it. That was just the way it was. And, I think now, people are just used to being able to walk in and get what they want. But yeah, I think ordering it, if you can wait, get what you want. So
you were saying, like, with the Huawei thing, Amazon Prime ruins you, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to order this monitor. Like, wait, shipment from Canada, it's going to be 2 weeks. What am I going to do for 2 weeks?
And that's another factor. You talk about reading reviews. I will skip something because of shipping. If I can't get it in the next couple of days, then you lost me. I'm going to go find another one. So,
and it's weird too, I think, because Amazon sort of impulse. Wow, you've heard the trivials on my desk. It's like, you're like, all right, I got it. And then like, well, now you've given me 2 weeks to keep looking on Amazon. Damn well I'm going to find something else.
Yep.
Nature of the beast.
And I'm just going to cancel this order because it hasn't shipped yet and go with that. Or better yet, you could be the Amazon. I mean, we all done it, not intentionally. You order. I don't know. Have you ever ordered something off Amazon? They're like, just keep it. We'll refund your money. I'm like, what? You don't want? I want to send this back to you. No, just keep it. Well, I don't want it. That's just.
I had bought the Elgato Cam Link that I use for this camera. I purchased it, and it was 2 day shipping, whatever it was. And I get, the little picture on your phone where they dropped it off. Now I'm laying in bed. I haven't even left my bedroom. It shows up and I'm like, that's not my house. That's not good. So I send them a message. we're really sorry, blah, blah, blah. We're going to refund your money. And I was like, well, I needed it for this live stream. I'm going to have to go to Best Buy. Went, oh, no, we totally understand, blah, blah, blah. It was my neighbor's house, but I wasn't here that long. So I had no idea that was my neighbor's house. It's like, wow, that was like, you dealt with it that quick. All right. That's impressive.
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, but I'm a huge fan of it, man. I like being able to get things like that. But like I said, there's some things I want to go touch and feel. I've never bought a brand new. Well, I take that back. I have bought a brand new motorcycle. I've never bought a brand new Harley Davidson.
Mhm.
So I don't even know what that feels like. I bought a 06 Honda Shadow, and they had to bring the crate down off the shelf and assemble it while I waited. So
Oh, that's pretty cool.
that was pretty cool. They had to, which I think they just put the front tire on it, but I was the first person to ride that motorcycle, which was pretty cool. Yeah.
We went to when we picked up the Road Glide, we were the only people in the dealership when we picked it up on like a Friday morning. And they're like, oh, you can do this, you can do that. And I'm like, this dealership's not that big. And does the whole sales force need to come out and applaud me when there's nobody? Just
Gotta
let me
ring
get
the
my
bell.
bike. Well, I did do that because that was kind of cool. Because
Yeah.
Katie laughed. She's like, you were the guy that would never do that. I'm like, I don't know. It's a good video to send to my buddies. Like, guess what happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Now, do you think that you were saying about being introverted and not like people? Do you think that that's one of the reasons that you've been able to connect to YouTube? Because I know a lot of people that do YouTube, not really the most sociable people, but you wouldn't know it when you meet them online. Like when your online presence, like people always laugh to me and they're like, oh, you do this and you do that. I'm like, I'm really boring in person. I can assure you. Really like introverted.
Well, I'm not going to go as far as say I'm an introvert. I mean, I joke and say I'm an external introvert if that's a thing. I mean, my job, I'm in front of people a lot in my job, and I have to do presentations and things like that, and I have to do one-on-one with. I still work for the Navy, so I facilitate a discussion between sailors and the big brain engineer that designed the equipment, and we come up with maintenance procedures for it. So you talk to people. I have to do that, but it's very painful for me. It's very painful sometimes. Just small talk is what's pain for me. I can talk about things I know about all day long, but sometimes small talk is a little difficult and it becomes awkward. And sometimes I might say things I probably shouldn't. So, but I don't realize it. But that's just, there's times I just want to get things done. We talk about, I was talking about grocery shopping. I don't want to be bothered with it. I've got something I want to do. I want to go in and get what I need to get, and I want to get out of there. And that's it. So, yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna really say I'm introverted, but there's times I just would rather not talk to anyone.
That's fair.
I like people though. In general, some people. Well, yeah, a handful. So.
Like 5.
Yeah. So
there's 5. My cats count for 3 of those 5. So yeah,
but I will say this: since I've been doing this, the people that I've met doing this have been so cool. I mean, I've been fortunate to meet quite a few people that do this. Going to VAM and meeting people out there. I've had opportunities. I ran into Bert and George like twice. I think I met them the first time down in Daytona. And I got to meet Des down there, which was really cool, hanging out with her. And, briefly spoke with Monkey for a couple minutes. And then I think I ran into Bert and George again the second time in OC, and just different people that I've met. And everybody I've met, they've just been really down to earth people. And I like that, and just good people. My wife doesn't ride with me. And the reason why she doesn't ride with me was I was involved in an RC for several years and actually held the seat as president for a while. And there was a lot of drama, and it really turned her off to it. And she's just like, I don't want to deal with that. So now trying to get her to ride and say, these people are different. They're different. I'm hoping to get her on some of the rides I go on, and meeting different people that do YouTube and stuff like that. I think she would enjoy meeting some of the folks. We'll see. I'm working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a weird pivot when you see people from online and you meet them in person. I met Colin Bronco ride at the first Baggers and Brewers ride that I went to, the first one they did. And Katie was laughing at me. She's like, "That's Colin." I'm like, "No, it's not. He looks different." She's like, "Yeah, it is." I'm like, "Oh, no, it's not." And sure enough, it was. But it's so weird because everybody comes out of that little box.
Yeah, they're not here.
These real people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good fun. McStash and I chit chat back and forth. He's a good guy. So, he's a vet. He actually came out and visited me, which was really cool. We met at VAM, and they were here. They had a scheduled vacation in Virginia Beach. They were staying at one of the beach houses down there. It's just right down the road. So we met up and had dinner with them one night, which was cool. And then next thing I know, they came out that year at New Year's and spent New Year's with us. They didn't stay at our house. They got a hotel, but we took them. We went up to Busch Gardens for New Year's Eve, and did the whole. They still have the Christmas town going at Busch Gardens, and they do the fireworks and everything, which was really cool. Jody and Tommy, Purple on 3, her and her husband, super nice people. Just really down to earth. I think I may have told. I don't know if I told you the story. I just started, man. I don't even think I had 100 subscribers yet. I mean, I was, I don't remember I think I was watching, was it on YouTube? I think it was YouTube. Yeah, I was watching something on YouTube. It's live. And Ryan, Full Throttle Hog. And I had put something in the side chat, hey, I'm going to be in San Diego. My job takes me to San Diego. I go out there 3 times a year. And I said, hey, I'm going to be out in San Diego and thinking about renting a motorcycle. He said, DM him. I DM'd him, and that dude took his whole Saturday. I was there over a weekend, and I'm just a nobody. And I rented an Indian, and he met me and took the whole Saturday and showed me all around that area of California. I thought that was so cool that he took the time to do that. So down to earth, and he's a busy dude, and his work is phenomenal. And I get it. And, my first big bump in subscribers, I owe to him because, he of course created some content and I was in it. And next thing you know, boom, the subscriber count rose. And I really liked that. That was kind of cool that he took the time and gave me some fantastic pointers. He was the one, I was a point and shoot GoPro guy. Yeah. Turn it on, go. I didn't know nothing about, frame rate and, ISO and all this stuff like that. And he broke it down for me. And I actually have a notebook somewhere around here where I took notes.
That's cool.
I had settings for when you're riding, and settings for when you're doing talking head. And I would, go and do that before I do my videos. So I just thought that was really cool. So yeah, really cool people, man. I don't know about Bride the Biker though, man. I think he's AI.
Sketchy.
So I haven't met you yet, man. I think he's a robot somewhere or something.
A lot of people.
You keep kind of freezing up. So yeah, it's a glitch in the matrix or something.
The Adobe software doesn't work that well on the Mac, so occasionally I glitch out. And I think that the thing that I think is interesting with this community is there are so many people in this community that if you have a question, they have an answer, or at least they have perspective to the answer. And I think that that's really cool because there's a lot of people that you see that are like, well, I'm XYZ and I don't have time for that. And it's from the what I would consider micro channels all the way to the huge channels and anywhere in between. It's not just a range thing. And it's amazing to me that how many people are afraid of the people that are under them rather than bringing those people up with them. Saying, okay, here we can all help each other, right? Because we're all gonna find our spot.
Yeah.
And it's not lost on me the time that people had put into me and helped me out that, I was just trying to figure it out, and took the time and being like, hey, we'll give you our time, and see if we can't help you. And it's interesting. It's a very, even with companies, it surprises me. Like when you look at a company and you think they're this big entity and then you find out it's like 3 people in a garage, and you're like, oh, wow, that's okay. Because to me, you're everything. But it turns out they're like this, little company. It's not a knock. It's just it doesn't have the moving parts you would think it has.
Yeah, they're just regular dudes, and that's what I've really been impressed with a lot of these people, just regular dudes. That's something that I've got a lot of things that I'm working on, and one of the things that I really want to do better. Hey, New Year's resolutions. It's not really a resolution, but something I want to do better this year is be more active in social media, be more active, interacting with other creators, sharing their content, giving them shout outs. I'm not very good at that, and I want to do better at it because people have helped me out along the way. And it's just part of, it's like, we talked about this briefly already, the Baggers and Brews event coming up in July. That's a fantastic organization, Tunnels to Towers. And I did the video, and that was a little weird for me because
that was a fantastic video.
I appreciate that, but I wanted, it's not, yeah, they're great guys and they have great content and a nice channel. But to me, it's the organization that I wanted to, and I wanted to tell, give people a perspective. Sometimes we give to these charities and you don't really feel it. I've seen it and not really firsthand. And I didn't want to make it about that. I appreciate people's condolences and stuff like that, but I didn't want to go into great detail about, that part of it. I just want to say, hey, I know somebody that benefited from this, and to be able to see what it did for their family and the burden that it took off their shoulders. Fantastic cause, and huge props to them for you too, because you've got a big role in this event as well. Doing this because that's a pretty big thing to do, to take your time to invest your time into creating this event, not just this event, the year-long fundraiser for Tunnels to Towers. I just can't, words are slipping me, but it's fantastic. But I guess the point I was trying to make is I want to do that better. I want to, if I see something that I think is important, I want to share it. So, you're interviewing somebody, you're interviewing Bert and George again. I want to be able to, I want to share that on social media. So I'm watching people. I watch how people do it. I watch you. I watch other creators, and I want to do it, but do it tactfully. Is that the right word?
No, and it is. And I think that we had talked about this before, and I'm glad you brought it up, is that I think that there's the concept of you're riding someone's fame, if that's a thing, or you're doing it for some sort of clout, or it's a flex. I was hanging with so-and-so, and there is certainly that, right? But then there's the organic relationships that we develop, and I think sometimes we get hesitant of that, right? Like I can't. So one of the, now I'm gonna sound like I flex, but I don't remember where he was. But Katie's birthday, we did a live stream. For those of you who are listening or watching, Katie's my wife, and Professional Monkey was overseas somewhere. It was Argentina, I don't know, wherever it was. And I sent him a link, and he's like, "Oh, I'm overseas, I won't be able to make it." Next thing I know, he pops up in the green room, and I'm like, and she's like, "Holy shit, that's Monkey." And he's like, it's like 3 a.m. He's like, "I just got in, but I wanted to pop on and say hi." And I'm like, holy shit. Like, it amazes me how many people will go out of their way to organically be involved in, your brand, your channel, however you want to view it. But I also think it's a shame because there's a lot of people that look upon that as a flex, or this person was able to engage this company or that company. And we've talked about that too. And I think it's a shame because rather than looking down upon those people or judging them, whatever you want to say, is that we don't take enough time to look at that and say, okay, this is where I want to be. Like I know when the Harley release video came out for the CVOs, and you saw 2 YouTubers in the end of that video, to me, that was the biggest win ever, right? Because who would have thought that, I'm never going to be at their level. That's just not going to happen. But that wasn't the point. The point was that there was a time, and it wasn't that many years ago, that Harley wanted nothing to do with YouTube. And it was just really cool that here's a person in our ecosystem that has achieved what we would all like to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the day Harley calls me, not that they're gonna, but like if that were to happen, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, me too.
That would be the coolest thing ever.
I don't talk on the phone for a long time. I'm afraid that I might miss it. So, you know,
Exactly. I mean, I'll be
that's
honest. If Dunkin' Donuts called me, I would probably pee myself a little. I mean, you know, it's
I'm
Dunkin'. If you're listening,
I just, like I said, I think there's some fantastic people, and I enjoy doing this, and I have a short list of things I want to do better, and that's one of them. And you know, just continue to be positive. You know, it's tough sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, it's all rainbows. There's topics that need to be discussed, and people want to hear about them. You know, I've touched on some stuff that might be somewhat negative, and people, sad thing is people like to watch it.
yeah.
My thing is that if I do it, I try not to be too opinionated. um I mean, I just basically state what I think might be going on, you know, events that happened over the summer with Harley Davidson and their business relationships and stuff like that. I did a short vlog on that, and it's just basically, you know, my thoughts on it and where is it going to go. You know, Harley's been around for a while, man. People buy Harleys because they're Harleys, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
At the end of the day, there is a, I don't want to say it's a sickness because it's not a sickness, but there are certain brands, Apple, Harley Davidson, Tesla, that are these brands that people are so passionate about. Like,
Yep.
you know, you'll see the day of the release, and I almost want to go to the watch party at the dealership because I want to see the guys in the corner like slugging it out, you know, over some stupid thing with the Harley, because
Yeah.
they're so passionate about it that, yeah, to your point, everyone, you know, when they did the Bud Light thing, all the people stomping their feet, they're going to leave. That's cute. We'll see you next month. Like, you're not
Yeah.
leaving. Just
You're not going nowhere.
You're not. It's like all the people that when Apple changed from Lightning to the 30 pin to Lightning, they're, oh my God, I'm getting rid of Apple. You're not. Just let's stop being stupid.
Just go to the store and buy another one.
Yeah,
that's it.
But you just want to you want to pretend that this is more than what it is. It's just a motorcycle. You know, it's not life or death. It really.
I'm going to be honest with you though. If I was going to go today and buy a brand, if somebody just gave me a sack of money and said, "Here you go, Sean, go buy what you want," I would not buy a Harley Davidson.
Okay, what would you buy?
I would probably be riding a Indian Chieftain.
Okay, so the interview is over. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just.
I'm joking.
It's just. I've ridden. When I travel, I usually rent. I'm not renting. I'm going on work travel here shortly, but usually if I'm out on the West Coast and I've got time, I'll rent a bike for the day. And I've gone through the Challenger, the Chieftain, and the Pursuit.
Nice.
And had them for over 24 hours and put some miles on them. And they're impressive machines. And we're talking about a bone stock bike, and it was very comfortable. All three of them very comfortable rides. The Pursuit was a little much for me. I think I would like to have, you know, a Chieftain with a detachable tour pack, but yeah, it's probably the way I would go. I'm not really loyal. I mean, I own a Harley Davidson because I always wanted one. You know, I rode metrics for a long time, and the day I could own a Harley, I wanted a Harley, and that's why I think I think it's that same video. I made a statement. You know, when I was on recruiting duty, if I was out and I met an applicant, and you know, they said, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the Marine Corps because my dad was a Marine, and my grandpa was a Marine, so I'm gonna be a Marine," I would take them over and introduce them to the Marine recruiter, because I'm not changing that. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, that kid is going to go join the Marine Corps. And that's the way I feel about Harley Davidson. You know, I wanted a Harley Davidson my entire life, and that's why I own one now. And, you know, and again, I just said with a sack of money, I'd buy an Indian, but, you know, I've had a Harley Davidson and I've enjoyed it, but now I'm like, I'm in a different stage in my life. So, you know,
I wanted a Victory Vision, and the worst
Victory Vision's a nice bike.
when they went out of business, I was heartbroken because there was a little mom and pop dealership. I bought a couple bikes there, and I was like, these are my people. It's a mom and pop place. You talk to the same guy behind the parts counter. The owner works on your bike, whatever. And I don't know. I've just been bitter ever since then. I just don't know that I could do it.
That's the feel I get every time I walk into an Indian dealership now. Indian Motorcycles of San Diego, those people out there, oh my gosh, man, phenomenal people. And then our dealer up in Newport News, Virginia, they're super nice. Yeah, you feel like you're talking, to a buddy. It's I don't know what it is. I know what you're saying. It's that mom and pop feel, and I like that. I know there's a whole argument about dealer network and stuff, but I like that feel when I walk in.
I mean, if you're going to tour on a bike, I think dealer network is important. It's kind of where we didn't. I mean, there's multiple reasons we didn't buy a Goldwing, but none of them are a stab at Goldwing. But yeah, I mean, because and I always tell Katie this, I'm like, the day you tell me you're done riding, I'm going to the BMW dealership, and I'm either finding a 1250 used or I'm buying a 1300. I've always wanted that bike. I can't justify it. It's not a bike she's going to be comfortable on.
No,
but the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I would love to have another Ducati.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love it. I wouldn't rode the Indian FTR back before the holidays. Oh my gosh, I had totally forgot what it's like to ride a motorcycle like that, and it's phenomenal to get on that type of motorcycle again. I wouldn't want to ride it every day, but it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride. But dude, how long are we gonna go, man?
Well, we'll wrap this up. I didn't realize what time it was. You see, you're taking my job away because I was ready to segue to that. But all right.
I'm sorry. I don't want to keep you.
No, you're not keeping me. I'm enjoying this. Like I said,
I'm having a fan. This has been great. I really appreciate you having me. I mean, this is pretty cool to get to do this. Pretty cool to get we've never met in person, but the virtual meeting.
Yeah, and it's like I had said before, the concept of this when I started it was just really to talk to people. The live version, while it was fun, got away from it. It got away from the concept of us just talking, right? And the people had mentioned this before, and I thought it was a really cool compliment. It was like, I kind of felt like I was at a restaurant and the people next door were talking about their motorcycle and how they got there. And, that's always been the intent. And for me personally, where I kind of lost my sort of mojo with it is that I didn't feel like I was being genuine to myself. I jumped on the live stream trend that people were doing, and it was never my thing. And I kind of had to phone it in, where to me, this to me is ultimately what I was hoping to accomplish. So
there's a lot going on in live streams. I mean, it's hard for me to keep up with everything.
Yeah. And it's more distracting too, because your guest isn't getting the attention they deserve. You're worried about Billy Bob, oh, look, Billy Bob, let me put his comment online. But as we wrap it up, so what does the next year bring for you? Well, first off, what does the next year bring for you? Because I always like to, when we're doing the recorded version, we'll wrap it up. My last words of this, me personally, are going to be, if you like the content, please consider subscribing. Please check out Sean's channel. It's fantastic. I really, genuinely love what he's doing.
Thank you.
And if you have a chance to support another creator, and final words and floor are yours, sir.
Man, well, again, I appreciate you asking me. It's been a pleasure to sit and talk with you, and it's really been nice to just talk. I mean, we talked probably about motorcycles 10 minutes. The rest of the time was just, like you said, two dudes hanging out, shooting the breeze, and that's kind of nice. But yeah, the next year, definitely going to see you in July at the Baggers and Brews event. Again, I can't talk about that enough. I think it's going to be a good time. I think if you ride a motorcycle, you need to be there. This thing has the potential to be huge. It's going to be a good time. Other than that, some trips up to the Northeast, and continue to just plug away at my channel week to week. Don't know what I'm going to do. I figure it out when I get there. And that's it, man. Just living life. That's what we do. Love people, love each other. I always tell people at the end of my video, and I don't know if a lot of people pick up on it. In the motorcycle community, we have that saying, keep the rubber side down, keep the shiny side up. my little spin on that is I always emphasize keep your shiny side up. I'm not talking about your bike, I'm talking about you. There's always something good to look at. Go find it. You know, keep that shiny side up. But again, man, I appreciate it. It's super cool hanging out with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone. Hope you have a great weekend.